Let's talk about use cases with Kafka. So a very common scenario you could see on the exam involves on-prem systems using Apache Kafka. It will say something like the business in question wants to migrate to the cloud or move to a managed auto-scaling solution. When you see this setup in the question, the answer will almost certainly be to move to PubSub. So drill this into your brain. When in doubt, on-prem Kafka goes to PubSub, whether for scalability, global reach, or reducing operational overhead. PubSub becomes the cloud-native messaging system, replacing or complementing the on-prem Kafka solution. Here are some scenarios where you might want to use both Kafka and PubSub together. When you have hybrid workloads, such as when you are connecting an on-prem database to GCP, Kafka and PubSub can work together to handle communication between these environments. Kafka might be used to manage data streams and messaging on-prem, while PubSub serves as a bridge to send those messages to GCP cloud services for further processing or analysis. For example, Kafka collects and processes messages locally, and then PubSub forwards them to cloud-based services for tasks like data analysis or machine learning in GCP. In cases where you are gradually migrating your Kafka architecture to GCP, both Kafka and PubSub may be in use during the transition period. So Kafka will continue handling legacy workloads on-prem, while PubSub takes over for new cloud-native workloads as they are migrated and as they are ready to be in the cloud. So this allows you to keep both systems running in parallel while ensuring that data is moving efficiently between your on-prem systems and the cloud. Another scenario where Kafka and PubSub might be used together is when you are collecting logs on-prem with Kafka and sending them to GCP for analysis. Kafka can aggregate the logs from your on-prem systems, and PubSub can then transmit these logs to GCP for further processing. Using PubSub alongside Kafka then, you can export the logs from Kafka to PubSub and then feed them into services like BigQuery or Dataflow for real-time analysis and monitoring. And then finally, if you have an app running in GCP, but you still store data on-prem with Kafka, PubSub can facilitate communication between the two. In this case, Kafka continues to manage your on-prem data, while PubSub allows your GCP app to receive real-time updates or data streams. This setup ensures that even though data is stored on-prem, it can still be accessed and utilized by applications running in GCP. In each of these cases, Kafka and PubSub work together to manage data movement between on-prem and cloud environments. Some of them could show up on the exam. This allows you to leverage the strengths of both systems while maintaining efficient and reliable communication. Now a bit about Kafka connectors. So GCP actually provides a group Kafka connector to allow seamless integration between Kafka and PubSub. First, there is the source connector. Here, PubSub acts as the source, sending messages into Kafka. So for example, PubSub might be receiving real-time data from various cloud-based sources, and then we want to funnel that data into Kafka for further processing or storage in a Kafka-based system. So the source connector takes messages from a PubSub topic and publishes them to Kafka. Essentially, PubSub is acting as the origin point of the data in this flow, hence why it's called the source connector. On the other side, we have the sync connector. In this case, Kafka acts as the source, sending messages to PubSub. This could be useful when Kafka is collecting large amounts of on-prem data like logs that we want to process or analyze in the cloud using PubSub. The sync connector reads messages from one or more Kafka topics and then publishes those messages to a PubSub topic. So Kafka is acting as the data provider, and PubSub is the destination for this data flow. It's important to note that source and sink here refer to the role that PubSub plays in this setup. If PubSub is publishing the messages to Kafka, it is the source. If it's receiving the messages from Kafka, it's the sink. So this flexibility allows for seamless integration between your on-prem and cloud systems, or between different stages of data processing and messaging, and connecting Kafka and PubSub through the group Kafka connector allows for this flexibility and approach. So in addition to Kafka, there are in fact many message buffer technologies out there, and Cloud PubSub is Google's offering in this space, but it's worth mentioning the others. So for example, we have Amazon SQS, Redis PubSub, Apache ActiveMQ, RabbitMQ. These are some of the more common ones. They are widely used in different contexts and environments for messaging and buffering. And so I mention these because if you see any of these technologies mentioned in a question on the exam, it's very likely that PubSub will play a role in the solution as part of a transition to the cloud or integration. Hope those tips were helpful. See you in the next section.